It's everyone. Yeah.
Sir.
So, good morning, all esteemed panelists. So, with your kind permissions, I need your permission to start the session. Kalpana ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now, on behalf of Ganpat University Faculty of Management Studies, I take opportunity to welcome all esteemed panelists and all esteemed learners. Before going ahead with the sessions, let me set a tone. As usual, we are now started one of the most efficient series, especially to disseminate the knowledge on governance and public policy areas. And with the suggestion of our Director Generals, we have named this talk series as Atal Bihari Vajpayee Public Policy Talk Series. So it is a bi-monthly regular talk series wherein we invite eminent seasoned civil servants and the veteran politicians to talk on the contemporary issues and the new knowledge which need to be discussed and implemented in the public policy and governance areas. So today, the title of the talk is Public Policy in New Economic Order. As you all aware that the countries or people of India is going to change, and change may be due to the technology, change may be due to the pandemic, but we are observing the change in almost in all areas. So rethinking is required in almost in all domains. If it is a higher education, if it is a business, if it is a civil services, or if it is a politics. So by keeping all these things in mind, today we invited the seasoned civil servant and esteemed panelists. Let me name and introduce all the panelists today. Like say S.N. Tripathi sir. Sir is the Director General at Indian Institute of Public Administration, Government of India, New Delhi. Sir has a long introductions. So sir is a IS officer from Odisha cadre in 1985. Sir has completed MA in Political Science and MBA in Public Policy. Sir is a civil servant with the academic flavors because before joining the IAPA, Sir has also served as a Vice Chancellor is one of the universities in Odisha. Along with the IAPA role, Sir is also handled the portfolio of Secretary, Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Government of India. Sir has also taken the number of initiatives as far as the MSME is concerned. Sir is also Chairman COER Board. And one of the most significant initiatives, sir, we like is your concept of Indo-German tool room, sir. Your contribution, because Government of India nowadays talk about the Skill India and all other things, but you have taken up this initiative long back and given this unique model to this country. Sir also served in the state of Odisha, like Secretary, IT Secretary, Panchayati Raj and Rural Development, Information and Public Relations, and you also work with a number of international organizations like UNICEF, World Bank, and all other prestigious institutions. Sir, on behalf of Ganpat University Faculty of Management Studies, I take opportunity to welcome you, sir. We have second speaker, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, Madam. Sir is a additional Chief Secretary at Government of Karnataka. Madam is also, giving the talk on various academic institutions. Madam is also doctorate in management from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Madam is a civil servant in the batch of 1987. Madam having a 31-year experience in a public administrations and handling the various portfolios like additional chief secretary, youth empowerment and sports. Madam has a huge, the profile in terms of delivering the various roles in the government of Karnataka and the central government. Sir is also, Madam is also writing the various articles in the various journals, research papers, and publications as well. And third speaker today we have Dr. Hiralal. Sir is a former district magistrate from a very small district called Banda in Uttar Pradesh. And from there, he started his career as a people-centric officer. Sir is also leading one of the initiative called Model Gaon. I think the people can see the background in the behind. Sir has also 26-year experience as a civil servant. And right now, sir working as an additional mission director, National Health Mission, Government of Uttar Pradesh. Along with all the eminent speaker, we have very eminent academicians, Dr. Surbhi Chaturvedi. She is the Dean of Ganpati University Faculty of Management Studies. Madam also having a 20 years of experience in academic administration and research. Madam known for her contributions in the area of industry-focused programs, and under her leadership, the Ganpati University has started the various programs with the Safe Education, Shelby Academy, and recently we have also started the MOU with the Logistics Skill Council of India and started the Center for Excellence in Operation and Supply Chain Management. I also like to introduce Professor Dr. Abhishek Parikh. Sir is Dean, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, Ganpati University. Sir is also handling the various programs, and under his leadership, we are also going to start one new programs in public policy in government governance areas from UG stream. So with this note, once again, I would like to welcome all learners, esteemed panelists, and I would like to invite Dr. Surbhi Chaturvedi Madam to welcome all the guests through words of wisdom. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Sanjay Bhai. It's a wonderful platform. I would like to once again welcome the galaxy of intellectuals who have gathered here to initiate our first public policy talk series. And we intend to name it as Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji in his name. That is given by, unanimously we have thought, because his birth anniversary is on 25th December, which is a good governance day. And relating the good governance with the talk series that we want to initiate, we did not find any other name better than his name. I once again welcome Shri Surendranath Tripathi ji, Dr. Kalpana Gopalan ji, Dr. Hira Lal ji. And we also miss the kind presence of Padma Shri Dr. Ganpatai Patel, Honorable President and Patron-in-Chief Ganpati University, and Dr. Mahendra Sharma, Honorable Pro-Chancellor and Director General Ganpati University. They are a little bit occupied with the delegation which has come from TRI today early morning. So they have asked us to excuse us, but they really wanted to be part of this intellectual gathering. Unfortunately, they are not part of it, but their blessings and their support is always there with us in all our endeavors. I welcome the associate deans, head of various institutions, organizing committee members, invited guests, faculty members, and my dear students. As I said, we dedicate this talk series as a tribute to our visionary leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Our former Prime Minister, Vajpayee ji has made remarkable contributions to the development of the country. He served not only as the Prime Minister of India, but Foreign Minister, chairperson of various standing committees in the Parliament, and has played an active role as an opposition leader. He has played a significant role in shaping the domestic and foreign policies of the independent India. In true sense, he is a democratic leader, a veteran parliamentarian, a significant contributor who has protected parliamentary system and democratic values. He was a true advocate of social equality and an ardent champion in empowerment of women. During his inspiring leadership, India was able to achieve steady growth in economy, which soon paved the way for the nation to become the leader in information technology sector. Also, to support the initiative, or you can say what Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has kept on emphasizing, that good governance is now the responsibility of each and every citizen of India. And it depends on the ability to take responsibility by both the administration and people as well. With all these thoughts in our mind, we thought of initiating this talk series, and we are very fortunate to be part of this inauguration ceremony where all the stalwarts from the domain of public administration are there today. I once again thank Dr. Kalpana Gopalanji, Sri Surendranath Tripathi ji, and Hira Lalji for their gracious presence. Thank you. Over to you, Sanjay Bhai.
We also take opportunity to welcome our esteemed Executive Registrar and Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Amit Patel, sir, in the forum. Thank you, sir, for making the time. Now, sir, we would like to start with you from Tripathi, sir. Just your thoughts by keeping the public policy in new economic order, the title in mind, sir, please.
Dear Dr. Sanjay Varnani, Dr. Surabhi Chaturvedi ji, Professor Abhishek Parekh, my friends and colleagues, Dr. Kalpana, Dr. Hiralal, dear students and friends. It gives me immense pleasure in being with you today to pay tribute to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, whose birthday is being celebrated as Good Governance Day, whose famous slogan of Kashmiriyat, Jamhuriyat and Insaniyat, I don't think anyone who can forget it ever. If you have to manage what you call it ROI, the Republic of India, it is not the ROI of a company, where return on investment is separate. Here, Republic of India and managing Federal Republic is a very different ballgame altogether. In such a diverse situation, public policy cannot be oblivious of political outcome or political landscape of any country for that matter. Be it US, which is the root of federalism, or any other area. The public policy also becomes virtually a mirror of thought process of political parties. I am one of those who believe that time has memory, but location has energy. Today's time and location are totally different. We have a group of people who are ISO certified that government is not working. There are some who are ISO certified that government is working better. There is Khan market gang which has an opinion on everything that government does or government doesn't do. In fact, today what government doesn't do is more highlighted than what it does. In this situation, role of political parties, public policy makers, the permanent bureaucrat and civil servant like Dr. Gopalan and Dr. Hiralal becomes more difficult. I'm a retired personnel, so I have freedom to speak. But they get constrained within the conduct rules, the civil service rules, the all India service rules, and above all, the political priorities of the current government. So public policy is not an exercise in vacuum. It is exercise in managing the aspirations of political masters, gelling it with the aspirations of the people, and delivering it into a capsule form, what is acceptable, what is deliverable, and on top of it, which is implementable. So students who are listening to us, they should understand this. And why there is a lot of talk going on that people are certifying authorities that Dr. Hiralal is not working, or Tripathi is working differently, or so on and so forth. Now there are certificates. There is 116 gang of IAS officer who keep on certifying government. There are another 250 gang of another retired officer who keep on saying that government should be doing this. And academics and all the Khan market gang are joining them. Why I am saying so? Because the context has to be understood. What the new government has done. We respect all the government because we are supposed to implement the public policy initiated by political master. Sarkar, Samaj, Bajar, all three are governed by the political masters only. Whether we like it or don't like it, the state has been created to manage these three institutions simultaneously. The state is many times a player and referee together. So unless we understand the text, we will not be able to understand the context of public policy. Second thing I would like to say that for the first time, we are discussing about empowering culturally rooted Indians. We are not saying that what we are, we are saying what we were. Because past can be a good guide, past need not make us nostalgic only, past need can be corrective lessons also. We have read too much of Max Weber and Joseph Stiglitz, but we haven't learned anything about Mauryan Empire and maybe many more systems where management systems were being designed. In fact, a couple of days back, there was a seminar on 250th year of Office of District Collector. I was privileged enough to join. I think many of you must have listened. Mauryan Empire period में the institution of district governance did exist. Rule-based bureaucracy did exist. Merit-based selection did exist. Reward and punishment based on performance, then being nepotism or being the son and son-in-law of the king and queen, were not there in that format which were there in the interregnum period. Occupying forces have different way of finding people than the regular forces are what we call it natives. These need to be studied so that we get cultural pride in all that we do. Even reducing corruption. Anyone who has read India, the men who ruled India, it has depicted how bureaucracy was functioning at that time. If you have to give a king an egg, you have to come with a bunch of the what we call it murgi, because the proportion of downstream corruption was much more than the upstream corruption. And today the theory is that you can't uproot corruption from the bottom. सीढ़ी नीचे से clean नहीं होती, सीढ़ी ऊपर से clean करना पड़ता. The same logic which was there in our ancient wisdom now require a Western authentication to become acceptable. It is the duty of people like you and me and all those who are in academic world to highlight this cultural superiority of a nation. Because if you want to make a nation big, brand their institutions as corrupt, brand their institutions as nepotistic, or brand their institutions that you are not fit for, you are not like us. I give a recent example of Ukraine war. The war were happening in Afghanistan, war were happening in Iraq, Syria, and all those things. People were leaving their country, but they were treated as refugees because they were unlike us. Today, the same war is happening in Ukraine. 5.6 million people have been absorbed overnight within Europe as if they are night watchmen. They are welcomed as a guest. Means people like me and people of my religion are better immigrants than people like you or unlike you. And the global order is resetting. The political power has shifted from west to east. Now India is in the center of it. So when we are making public policy now, we have to be oblivious. We can't be oblivious of the context of current century. That's why people like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the philosophies of Narendra Modi, the philosophies of our first Prime Minister Pandit Nehru, and many such ideologues need to be studied in this context. I will again say that you have rightly said that the best policy is one where bureaucrats listen more than they talk. But this is a session on where we are supposed to be talking. So we would certainly like to spend some time here. What are the priorities that did not exist when I joined, and what are the priorities when Kalpana and Hiralal, they are functioning, which they are slightly, I feel envious of them because they are more audible, they are more visible, they are much more qualified, and whatever they say, that can get ratification instantly. We were having all the time delayed gratification. I was Collector Cuttack, we handed over, I was Collector Sambalpur, we handed over Chashma to 1 lakh people by doing their eye testing. But I will come to know only after 10 years that, sir, aapne meri aankh bacha di. Aaj if Kalpana does something in a choir board or something in a district where you deliver something, you get instant gratification by your social media. That means you have to make a tighter walk also. Today, how you dress, how you sit, how you go, how you move, with whom you dine, with whom you live. Even your personal life is no longer your personal life. In fact, bureaucrats have become khuli kitab. Hirilal was saying he has written a book and Kalpana is surrounded by a number of books. But today, bureaucrats have become open book. Anybody can read, pass comment, and perhaps give value judgment that you are bloody or nothing like that. Hatred towards bureaucracy is part of cultivated conspiracy against India. I'm not one of those who believe that conspiracy theory works. If you want to demolish a country, demolish its education system, demolish its institutions of governance, and then dictate from world order that you should follow austerity, you should follow this, you should follow that. Who doesn't know that global financial crisis is a failure of American style of management? Who cannot appreciate today that UN is unfit to govern the country because post-World War II and even after Cold War I demise, world is not ready to accept the hegemony of a country like China, emergence of a country like India, or even Russia is not accepting itself as a regional power because they were superpower. When you start treating them at par with India, Brazil, and China, they think that they have been denied. So they are reasserting their power. I, as a political scientist, look at on these lines, and therefore the text and context of public policy making need to be understood. There are more intelligent people than me in this panel, but I, as a passing thought, I will certainly share that today, three things which are missing in public policy makers as well as public policy thinkers. And those three are like this: technical skill, human skill, and conceptual skill. I will elaborate on technical skill a little more, because technical skill does not mean being an engineer or being a philosopher. Technical skill means that you should know the tools that you have, how to manage it in most effective manner, and how you can get value for money. So those technical skills which are taught in management school are required either at leader or at implementer, even at student or professor level also. Each one of us should upgrade our technical skill. But technical skill alone can make you at best a manager. It will not make you leader unless you have human skill. How to do interpersonal connect, how to convince others to do and believe what you believe, and how to see that consensus emerges, not it is enforced. Because most of the time we think in bureaucracy that हमने सरकारी आदेश तो pass कर दिया. Now tomorrow onwards everybody will start wearing masks. People tomorrow onwards will start speaking truth, and it doesn't happen. Social habits require nudging than enforcement. So here these human skills work. But even these two skills cannot make you a perfect policymaker if you are not listening. And that way I call it conceptual skill. Conceptual skill, mentoring skill, leadership skill, they require to have the bigger picture all the time. Why country does what it does, why it was doing what it was doing. Today we have got 360-degree assessment of bureaucrat. We have got even 5-year assessment of every government. Earlier we had no confidence. Now people require, even ruling party requires confidence almost annually. India is one country where every 6 months, 3 or 4 states are going for election. And every election becomes a referendum about the local government as well as the central government. In fact, today DM, PM and CM, they need to be authenticated almost on a month-on-month basis. If this change is happening, can policymakers remain static? Can they stop listening to their client? I will conclude that we started with our preamble, which is the biggest vision of any country, where we say that be the people. But from be the people, I the citizen, this shift has to be appreciated by the policymaker, by the public policy implementers, and by those who claim that they have got the confidence of the people to run or ruin this country for a year or 5 year or 10 year or a decade. So public policy dialogue has to be understood on these texts, these contexts, and these enablers where technology is playing a bigger role. And I think my colleagues will add more points on this. I would like to stop at this place. I must compliment Ganpati University and its colleagues and their worthy colleagues for giving me a chance to share it. Thank you once again. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughts and wisdoms and years of experience that you have. So on behalf of Ganpati University, would like to offer a statement of gratitude. So kindly accept it, sir, and we will share with you by keeping in a frame through post. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, let me invite one more speaker to share the thoughts on public policy in new economic orders. Dr. Kalpana Gopalan, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Vanani. Distinguished dignitaries and fellow panelists, Dr. Sanjay Vanani and the organizers of today's program, faculty and students of Ganpati University. Thank you for being here this Saturday morning, and also thank you for having me here along with this distinguished panel. I'm honored to be a part of this panel. Let me begin on a personal note. I began my professional life as a practitioner. I sauntered into public service, specifically the IAS or the Indian Administrative Service, by serendipity rather than deliberation. In the old days, the pre-LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization days, the opportunities for youth were few because the economic landscape of India was narrow, and for young women, even narrower. The IAS offered a dignified, even a prestigious means to earn a decent livelihood. So, for the first 15 years or so, I spent life as a conventional bureaucrat, opening files, closing files, signing files. Working for government means, as you know, that you have a lot of time to ponder over the great questions of life. For instance, should I open this file? Or should I close this file? Or that all important intellectual puzzle that no one has cracked as yet, should I sign this file? What I did not realize at that time was that I was living life in chrysalis, as it were. I was soaking up experience, observing, acting, doing, and I was internalizing everything around me. Would it be possible to focus on me, please?
Sanjay bhai, we
Yes.
can have pinned Kalpana ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Hello. Hello. Kalpana ma'am, are you facing any difficulty?
I am able to hear you. Shall I continue? I just
Yeah, ma'am. Please
you
continue.
can focus on me because I'm not able to see myself.
No, you are visible, ma'am. You are
Okay,
visible.
great.
Yeah.
Gradually, the questions became louder. Life became more than livelihood. The stark inequality, the poverty, the indifference of some to the suffering of the other, and the massive unfairness of it all was something that penetrated even my thick bureaucratic brain. That was when I stepped back. From 2002 to 2013, I tried to make sense of it all as a scholar of public policy and governance. My search for answers led me to the portals of the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, first as a master's student in 2002, and then as a doctoral scholar in 2007. So, when I joined the PhD program, I already was familiar with the institute and they with me. More importantly, what I brought to the table was a couple of decades of experience of the real world, and it can't get more real than the IAS. So, the sense of what is workable and realistic always informs my academic work, a limiting factor that curbs my academic enthusiasm. I was also significantly older. In fact, my first discovery was that all of my classmates were younger than me. Then I realized that some faculty were younger than me. And finally, I found that even some disciplines were younger than me. My years in IIM Bangalore transformed my perspective, training me to integrate my worm's eye view as a practitioner with the bird's eye view of a policy analyst. They were also among the happiest in my professional life, for my cynicism came to be tempered with hope and cheer as I began to interact with the youth who were my fellow scholars, but also the future of India. Since completing my research, I moved back into government, but I still continue my academic and research interests. As I returned from my sabbatical to service transformed, I now wear many hats as a scholar, practitioner, learner, volunteer, and speaker. What I strive to be is a composite public policy professional in the most complete sense of the word. Thus, I was a real-time observer and participant of the changing nature of public policy as the political and economic order changed around me. As I grew and matured in the service, I saw the world change and my domain changed apace. I have seen the nature of leadership and the public demand on leaders evolve in the course of my 35-year career. When I entered service, the IAS officer was somewhat of a Wild West cowboy or cowgirl, a lone ranger shouldering the burden and solving the problems of her territory. But by 1987, Karnataka had introduced the Panchayati Raj legislation, followed by the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments nationwide. This meant that the IAS learned to work in a decentralized, evolved political structure at the local level, and power was shared with elected Zilla, Taluka, and Gram Panchayat members. I was a young officer in Dharwad district at the time, and I recall loud arguments and pitched battles between officers and politicians as to the best course of implementing programs. And not just the IAS, the state level leadership had to learn to share leadership as well. If we talk of disruption, the Panchayati Raj was one of the greatest disruptions in our nation's history. The next major change was something which many of you are familiar with, the 1991 balance of payments crisis and the structural adjustment and economic reforms that it ushered. In terms of the IAS and government in general, the single biggest adjustment was the curtailing of the powers of the government and the end of the license Raj. It did not mean that the leadership role of the bureaucracy ended. Rather, it demanded mid-course operational correction and adaptation. Suddenly, common sense leadership was no longer enough. Now, the IAS officer had to learn to navigate complex contracts and learn new managerial skills to steer networks which are horizontal in nature. A few years ago, I organized a conference of political and bureaucratic leaders of Southern India. For the logistics alone, I had to transact with the Interstate Council of the Government of India for the delegate list, the protocol department for proper reception to the delegates, the local district collector, hotels in Bangalore for accommodation, Kaveri Handicrafts and Mysore Sandal Corporation for gifts, tourism department for field visits, to name only a few. None of these organizations were subordinate to me in the hierarchical structure of government. So I had to use not authority, but negotiation, persuasion, problem solving. A collaborative form of leadership was what was required. Today, a combination of technological possibility and an aspirational society has resulted in even more demands on the Indian bureaucrat. And Dr. Tripathi spoke of this as well. Why should I wait in a queue to pay my electricity bills? Let the system provide the facility online. I wish to purchase land in Bangalore, but I reside in San Francisco. Can I get the land registered without having to travel? Now, e-governance innovations are enabling such transactions. So, from a coordinator and network manager, the IAS officer is also becoming a social entrepreneur and innovator. So, as the nation evolved and the public matured, major disruptions have seen government and the civil service adapt, grow, evolve, and transform to meet those challenges. In a young nation like ours, leadership is evolutionary. But are there any takeaways in the leadership paradigm in the current economic, political, and administrative landscape? And I would just like to make 3 points here. These are 3 disparate points. I just want to mention them and then we can discuss them later on. First, go back to basics. Digitization, social media, information technology, these are conveniences. These are to be used as a tool of good governance, but it is not a substitute for grassroots governance. Now, today, we seem to think that technology is governance. That is not true. Now, take an example. A doctor who saves 1,000 lives, he would not be recognized. But somebody who develops a digital app to count the number of deaths or compute the number of deaths, he would possibly be recognized and given an award. We literally are placing death over life. So let us understand that no technology can substitute real governance, grassroots governance. We need to use technology and digitization as a tool and not as a substitute for real governance. The second point which I would like to make is the importance of capacity building. Now, we cannot overemphasize the importance of skilling. But how do we skill? We don't seem to have a strategy of skilling. We again have this conventional method. We are not trying innovations and skilling. We just empanel agencies and then outsource the job to them. No, that is not the way. Now, when I was heading the youth affairs department, I used youth to train youth. Those who are more privileged, college educated, I used them under the National Social Service Scheme to train those who are less privileged, so that the youth of different levels of society can meet with each other and train with each other. The second is that train the frontline and the backroom workers. We in the IAS get refresher trainings, we go abroad. What about those who are actually doing the job in the field? Now, take COVID, for example. We took decisions at the higher levels of the medical fraternity or the bureaucratic and political fraternity. But it was the ASHA worker on the field or the police marshal or the volunteer who had to actually translate it on the ground. If we are not, and our own decisions, these were based on inputs from the nurses, the medical personnel who are actually dealing with patients in the hospitals. Now, if we do not train the frontline and backroom workers equally as those in the higher echelons of the government, then they are going to lag behind and we are not going to be able to take the country forward with us. The third point about capacity building is that we should train teams, not individuals. Today is the day when cross-sectoral teams have to be trained together. Now, it is all right. Our conventional system is that doctors train with doctors, engineers train with engineers, and IAS officers or government officials train with government officials. That is okay in the old economic order. But today we are having network form of governance. Now, as I said, even in COVID, a medical decision taken by a politician or political leader or a bureaucratic leader is actually translated on the field by the ASHA worker or the policeman. Now, something will get lost in translation unless they are all able to understand each other, speak the same vocabulary and language. So it is important that we train teams which are cross-sectoral in nature. I have a lot more to say about capacity building, but I'll keep it for the discussion. The third is that ethics matters. If we lose ethics, we lose everything. And here I would like to emphasize what I have said. Mr. Vanani probably has heard me before. The importance of personal social responsibility. We all understand, corporate social responsibility, C&R, but CSR is not enough. Each of us as a citizen has a personal social responsibility. And that is what we have to practice. And that is based on very simple principles. Just look around you, your family, your friends, your neighborhood, your domain. Whoever is most in need of help them. Choose an area of your own expertise or passion, and then spread that. It could be learning, it could be Hindustani classical music, it could be cloud computing. I have a classmate from school who is a good singer. She goes and sings in the wards of hospitals to cheer the patients up. Share your knowledge, build skill sets in others. And finally, Don't seek publicity, fame, recognition, or even thanks. Dr. Tripathi was saying how social media today transmits, and we, in an instant it transmits the work, the good or the bad work that you do. But we are also seeing a phenomenon where, people are after that fame or that instant 5 minutes of fame which social media gives. No, that is not the job of a government official. That is not the job of a civil servant. Just do, and it will grow, and you will see the fruits of your own work. I have seen this many times, as Dr. Tripathi said, 10 years later, you have sanctioned some loan, and 10 years later, somebody comes and tells you, you did this for me and my family survives on it today. So that gives you a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, which nothing else can give. So these are my final takeaways. Go back to basics, do capacity building, and ethics matters most. Thank you all very much. And I'll now leave the rest for the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. You may be happy to know from our side that Ganpat University keep the values in center. And we usually, our Dada said, student first, character must. So that principle that we are following. So with the permission of all esteemed guests, I would like to show our Ganpat University campus virtually. Right, so that at least you can see that how this universities evolve, and I will also share some views on the Ganpat University afterwards. So let us first, madam, let us accept the statement of gratitude from Honorable Director General Ganpat University as a token of appreciation. So
thank you so much. That is so kind. Thank you so much.
And now let us see the aerial views of the Ganpat University.
Speaker offer. Course, Logical Thinking Math course. Age limit.
And now you have shown us the campus. All of us want to visit you in person.
Yeah, on behalf of Ganpati University, ma'am, definitely you all are invited to visit. Even the learner can also visit the campus. But just I would like to share some background. So Honorable President Sri Ganpati Patel alone donated 120 crore rupees to this university. And this is the the university where no one is owner. So it is run by the board, and it is a completely philanthropic mission. So mostly, if you see the private university structure in India, it may be owned by some family members or some group of people. But here, the complete and 100% philanthropic, the people has invested his hard-earned money to have such kind of the campus in the Gujarat, especially in the small town of Gujarat called Kherwa village. It is located in the village areas. And fortunately, we are another district where Honorable Prime Minister is also born. So this is the history of Ganpati University. And I take opportunity to invite all esteemed learners and the panelists to visit. Now it is time to listen Dr. Hiralal. Sir, you are active in various forums, and your concept of model Gaon is very pioneer nowadays. People voluntarily accepted your campus and the action plan that you have designed. So thank you for accepting our invite. And now we would like to listen from you, sir. Please.
Okay, thank you for inviting me over here, and I welcome all the panelists. And very candidly, I would like to accept one thing. I do not have studied anything or practiced anything regarding the economics and economy. So to speak over here, but I have done so many policies, practiced so many policies. So I do have some experience, and that experience I will share over here. So your topic is public policy in new economic order. The first thing is that yet new economic order is not reached, not achieved. One thing I have to say. And the new economic order has two facets. One is international and second is national. In international facets, deglobalization. In 80s and 90s, globalization was the charming aspect of the economic development, but right now we are in reverse gear, deglobalization. For example, in UP, we are developing the defense corridor, and in that defense corridor, we will manufacture to meet our defense needs and equipments to reduce our dependence on the global market. So that is a good thing in my personal opinion, and depending on any person in any way is not supposed to be good. So deglobalization to some extent I appreciate it and I support it, one thing, but it has so many complications also. If you are going to deglobalize something, you want to start something, you need fund, you need technical knowledge, you need so many things which is not existing in our country. So all of a sudden it is not possible, but gradually we can do in tandem, we can work together and we can do that. On the national front, the outlook of government seems to be the government is not in business of running the business. There is a sentence, minimum government and maximum governance. Now, government is changing its role, as Kalpana Madam was saying, that command and control concept is now shifting towards the enabler and facilitator role. So what we are doing, we are shifting government role to private sectors by doing disinvestments and corporatization and privatization. So what is happening? What is the harm? There is good effect and bad effect. Policy is having always both aspects, positive and negative. We try our best to maximize the merits and reduce the demerits. That is, then we will say it is a good policy. So under new economic policy, what is happening? If we are doing disinvestment, we are doing privatization. What is the motive of the private sectors? Profit making. If profit making will be the motive of the private sectors, then economic inequality will increase, and that is not a favorable situation in our country. So what should be done? Through economic policies, democratization of the economy, reduction of the inequality of wealth, meaning thereby we have to frame such policies which will support us in economic inclusion, redistribution, equal distribution, participation of all in economic action, activities, and wealth. So in my opinion, in economic field, the importance of policy is much more as compared to the past. And we did this during the COVID situation, mask, PPT, we relaxed some norms without compromising the efficiency and safety. We allowed others to make PPT kits, to make masks and other things. As a result, what happened, that it created in very hard situation for economic activity, jobs, some income gaining. As a result, we were able to meet, we were able to face the biggest challenge of life. In my life, I have not seen such situation because I lost my father, I lost so many my relatives. Since I am in the medical department, so I got so many calls, but I was unable to help them. I was helpless. So many IS officers died, and they also faced same situation as a poor person during that situation. So policy should be performing one. Now, what is happening in the policy? We are making many policies, but they are not performing as it is intended, as it is required. So they are looks better in the paper, but they don't looks better on the ground. Why? That is my takeaway. That is my point where I would like to focus. Policies are made, it is said, policies are made in AC rooms and they are sent to get it implemented in the fields in the temperature of 30-45 degrees Celsius, and it is not implemented as intended, so it is not performing. So we need to change the policy making process. Instead of top-down approach, we should now adopt. Already we are doing something, but not much has been done yet. How frame the policy by adopting bottom-up approach? I would like to give one example. I am running a project model now. Just through this example, I would like to support my statement. I am running a project Model Gaon. I am honorary mentor of it. So in this Model Gaon project, we are trying to develop villages. We are trying to develop agri-tourism in the villages. In UP tourism policy, there is 2 or 3 lines on the agri-tourism policy. So during the working to develop the agri-tourism business in the villages, in order to create employment, in order to increase the income, in order to change the mindset of the villagers from agri to agri-business, we started finding how many people in UP are doing agri-tourism by themselves without any support of the government. So far in 1 year, we have got 20 persons. Let us suppose if we are trying to frame some policy on agri-tourism, what we should do? We should frame that policy with the help of, with the participation of these 20 people who is already in that business, who is a practitioner of that business. If we will frame our policies in such a fashion, that is called the bottom-up approach, one thing, and that policy will include all the aspects of the implementation, and that policy will be one of the performing policy, which is not existing yet, because I used to involve in policy framing. When a policy is made, different departments are called, then discussion is done. But that is in the AC rooms. We never called the concerned practitioners. We never called the concerned Kadha PhD. If a farmer is not, for example, what I am saying to a practitioner in Hindi, we say Kadha PhD. There is a Ram Saran Burma. He is Padam Siri in agriculture. He is known as a banana man. If you search on the Google, you will find a lot many material to read about. He is earth class fail. But if I am, or many PhD students of agriculture, agribusiness used to come to his platform to learn from him. He is not theoretical PhD, but he is a practical PhD. So while we frame the policy, we must include in policy framing the practical PhD, Kadha PhD. Right now, what we are doing, we are making it in AC rooms by Padha PhD, only theoretical PhD, not practical PhD. That's why policy, when it comes to implement in the field, it becomes not performing. And our whole exercise reduced in terms of utility of money. We spent money in policy making. So the money spent is not performing in the form of policy implementation. One more thing I would like to mention over here. Digital India, e-commerce are some policy interventions to improve the economic condition, which is your topic. They have helped a lot in establishing the new economic order to get the economic inclusion. So we need such many more unicorn, startup, digital India. There are so many steps, though they does not sounds by name wise that they are economic policy, but they are helping. They are a lot in improving our economy, in reducing the inequality of wealth. So this is my point that I would like to say as a practitioner. As at the very outset, I said that theory wise in the economy, I am very poor. So, but practically what I will say, we must think how to frame our policies with the participation of Kadha PhD, practitioner PhD. One thing. Second thing, how to start framing the policy bottom up. That we need to think under new economic order, because we all are knowing what is happening, that many people have, due to after COVID and during the COVID and after COVID, many people have lost their jobs, salaries are reduced, economic hardships are increased. So to provide solution to these problems created due to pandemic, we need to frame such economic policies which must give equal importance to merit, inclusion, and governance. If these merit, inclusion, and governance will be taken into consideration while framing the policy, it will perform, and our aim of economic inclusion, we can get it. So this is very simple from Mary side. As I said, I am not much good at this subject. Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank you.
Sir, I mean, it is really a grounded point that you mentioned in a forum. Now, I would like to invite all learners to share your questions. Madam, we also received some questions, and even one questions also arise in my mind as an academician. Now, ma'am, the buzzword of going on startup, entrepreneurship, and all other areas, and it is also become part of curriculum exercise in higher education institutions. So, Kalpana ma'am, I would like to know your views that how do you see when we talk about the public policy in contemporary time? Is there any things we can add in a curriculum aspect, or are you observing it is a need of it? Because yesterday evening, I refer one reports of Radhakrishnan Commission, which has submitted to UGC in 1948. At that time, the aim of the education that is also there to teach the democracy, right? So now in 2022, how we are observing a higher education institutions as far as public administration, public policy, and the democratic values is concerned, ma'am.
Okay, speaking of startups, Bangalore is considered to be the fount of startups. And in a lighter vein, the running joke is that the traffic jams in Bangalore are so long and take so much time that a lot of creative ideas flow. But speaking more seriously, I see one thing is that we are a young country. We are also a country who just in the 1950s and early 60s, we were coming out of our colonial hangover and trying to find our feet. And therefore, economic stability, both at the macro level and the familial level, was very important. And you all know how we were brought up. Study, 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 get a job, and then you get settled in life, your parents are happy. So all our focus was on that. But the world around us is changing. We find dropouts are listed. Bill Gates was a dropout, established a great, what do you say? It was a game-changing technology that he brought. And slowly we are also learning that, it needs more than rote study. So some things which I feel that we should, maybe by way of curricular changes, maybe by way of giving time and space to our children, that nurture the creativity in the child. I even, just a couple of days ago, I visited a temple. The Ranganatha Swami temple in Srirangapatna is a very famous, world famous temple. And I met a very little boy there, 6 years or 7 years old. And he recites shlokas, so beautifully, Sanskrit shlokas. And, full of enthusiasm, running around and so cherubic and charming. And then his grandfather, hey, sumne ro, that scolding, and which is very typical of our Indian households. If children show too much enthusiasm, somebody will scold them, curb their enthusiasm. I think we should allow that enthusiasm and creativity to flow. So that is one thing which both we need to do at a familial level and at curricular level. The second thing, and which I again see a difference between our generation and the new generation, the millennial generation, we lacked confidence. We were, remember, the first products of independent India, our generation. Maybe I'm a little older than you, but maybe Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Hiranlal and myself, we were the first products of the post-colonial generation. We didn't have that confidence. I remember when when a teacher asked a question, we will be scared to answer. When one of my colleagues was mentioning recently that when we were assistant commissioners or CEOs of Zilla Panchayats, if minister does a review, we will not open our mouth unless he asks a specific question from us. We will not volunteer any information. That was, that was a level of confidence. Today, my children, I mean, they are full of, they do not hesitate to give their views, and they do not hesitate from asking questions as well. And so that is something I think which we need to nurture in the next generation, that confidence that I may be right, I may be wrong, I may make mistakes, but I must go on, because that is the only way. The world is not going to live on ideas which were conceived in the human brain 40 years ago. The world is going to live on ideas which are conceived in the human brain right now. And that is going to be our life for the next 10 years. And so on, and so on. It is evolution, and evolution is at a faster pace than ever before. So both creativity and that self-confidence, I think that we need to nurture in our children. But I want to have a caveat. And I find this in the millennial generation, that we used to be very conscious socially of the immediate family surrounding us and the community surrounding us. If you are, hail from a rural village, Mr. Hiralal will probably empathize with this, that our gaon becomes very important for us. Now I find the children, I am speaking somewhat as a mother also of 2 millennials, they are very conscious at a macro level, that environment is important, they want to preserve the forest, all those things, remove inequality, but they are not immediately conscious of what is going on around them. So that is something that again I want to emphasize, that personal social responsibility. I am responsible for my immediate environment. I am responsible, say, for my classroom, for my friends group, for the community around me, maybe for the maid who takes care of me at home. So that kind of consciousness is what can make a real difference. What big difference you will make to climate change? You can make small differences at micro level in your own world. So I think that personal social responsibility is something which we need to develop, inculcate both at familial. Again and again, I want to emphasize that we cannot throw things on the government or on institutions alone. You and I as individuals and citizens have got to do this. And this, I think, are the 3 things that nurture creativity, encourage self-confidence, and cultivate personal social responsibility. I think these are my own penny contributions. Maybe other panelists also would like to add something more.
Yeah. Sir, we have one very good questions from participant. He said, through the caste systems, like we have some reservations in organized jobs, and remaining in a livelihood sectors, they have also some caste dominations. So I think Dr. Hiral sir, you are right person to answer these questions. Would you like to share your thoughts on how we can prevent these situations?
Actually, just I have written something in the answer you have seen. I had a chance to glance at the question. Actually, I was studying the caste. Caste is highly given a image of negativity. So I was studying what is if caste is having so negative things, how it is existing? Because if anything having only negative aspect, no positive aspect, it should vanish. But it is existing. So my curiosity is that it is having positivity. So I read on the Google, just a cursory glance, that it has more than 15 or 20 merits. But we are not using the merits of the caste system. We are ignoring that, and we are making it more negative by pushing this caste system in that direction. Though I don't have any theoretical knowledge, but I have heard and I have read somewhere how caste system is evolved. The persons doing one business is of one caste. Okay, but gradually what happened, if you are, it changed its course. If you are if you are born in a particular caste, then it doesn't matter what you are doing. So because of this distortion, caste is given a negative image rather than positive image. So in my opinion, we should change this situation. Caste is having positive aspects. For example, farmers, Patel is a caste in Gujarat. These are the farming community. They are producing the grains. For example, Yadav, they are supplying the milk. Like there are all the castes are producing something because they are having traditional knowledge of these things. So we must use this to harness the benefit of the caste system. Instead, what we are doing, we are divide and rule policy we are applying to this system, and we are giving more negativity. So I don't think the caste system is only negative. It has positivity also, which we need to utilize in making people rich, making people happy.
Thank you, sir. Kalpa ma'am, one questions related to, yeah, please.
1 minute. Let me add to
Yeah.
Dr. Hiralal's statement, because this just reminded me. About 20 years ago, I had gone on a visit to Ramanathapuram in Tamil Nadu. I was then in Rural Development Department, and I was invited by an NGO. So I had gone there. And this NGO, Ramanathapuram is a very dry district. There's no water. And so most of the water source is the ground, and people dig tanks or farm ponds, and from that they use the water coming from that. And this NGO had performed a very interesting social experiment, just as Dr. Hiralal had said, that people were not coming forward to dig. No, it's hard labor. So if your community tank is a large structure, so many people have to come and contribute. So they just divided the work caste-wise. They said, 1 year you do this southwest portion, Brahmins you dig the northeast portion, some other caste you dig this. So they just divided that work across the caste groups, giving a certain measurement and saying you are supposed to do with your community. Now it is because of the geographical layout also, of the way a gaon is village is structured, it is easy for members of one caste group or community to come together. So and this was for public work, and this was for community work. Everybody was going to benefit. But individually, if you had gone, they would not have come. Now they organized it caste-wise. And then people of different castes came, and then they had a beautiful tank. When I went there, they showcased the tank, and they were able to show me that. So it just reminded me, when Dr. Hiralal said we should use it for positive purpose. So this is one way in which one NGO has done this. On used that whole caste equation for public service and community participation. So I just wanted to make that. Yeah, Dr. Professor Venani, just tell me.
Yeah, ma'am, the question is like J. Srinivasan written to us, like India has very good public institutions, public policy institutions, but why, there is the issues of, there's still, there are many issues, is unsolved. So what is the reason, or quick insight that of you, ma'am, please?
I can I can give you a long answer, but let me just give you the fundamental answer. The answer lies in your own question, Srinivas. In the whole dependence on institutions, whether it is government or whether it is civil society or whether it is some NGO or whether it is some other, this should go. You and I are the doers. We are the kartas. So the moment we start taking responsibility for our nation, things will begin to change. Instead, all of us are sitting and waiting for someone else to do it. We have world-class thinkers. And I can tell you why civil service, Mr. Tripathi was saying, and Mr. Dr. Hiralal also was giving us some reasons that we don't take inputs from the practitioners. There's one reason why our plans go awry. But that's not what I'm going to say. I'm saying it is in your hands and my hands. If you see something is not okay, just go and write it. Don't ask for credit. Don't ask for fame. Don't take a social media and ask your friend to put it on YouTube. No, just go and do it. The moment each of us starts doing, then things will change. If you feel that some child needs to, needs help in order to pass her, say, second standard exams, just go and teach her. Sit with her and teach her. If you feel that, the street in front of you, that there is, it is not clean enough, just go and clean it. If you are able to, thoda sa ikkata karke, if you are able to persuade your friends, fine. If you are not, also fine. Just go and do it. The moment you and I start doing, then things will begin to change. The days when we depend on any institution, whether it is, don't ask me why we pay taxes, let the government do. You want change in your life? Do. Make the change, be the change, things will change. That's my answer.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I think we are about to end the sessions, but before closing the sessions, let us have the final remarks that when we talk about the public policy and in a current time, what is your suggestions to the academic institutions or individuals or the civil society that how they can contribute, because it is all about the giving something to the giving back something to the nations. So how do you see that the various stakeholders need to play? So let me begin with Dr. Hiral sir. What is your final takeaway that if we wanted to see the country that everybody wants as a superpower or as an inclusive or as a equitable, now what is the role of various stakeholders that you are anticipating by giving some suggestions or to do action list, please, sir?
For this to achieve what you described, what is happening, we always pose problems. So my opinion is that we should provide problems as well as solutions. Whatever solution do you have in your mind, not questions only, problems and solutions together. And right now social media is a big connect in your hand. Everybody is having mobile with internet connections, and you send your problems and solutions to concern authorities, concerned persons, concerned local leaders, in either in through social media or electronic form or in writing. That will be taken care of somewhere. It is not going in waste. If you are saying something, at least somebody will read it, somebody will consider it, somebody will ignore it, but it will be not go unheard, unseen. So this is to be done by all the citizens. And what is happening, if any mail is coming to us, we used to see it, we used to give heed it. And if suppose on any topic many mails are coming, it means there is some gravity on that issue, and we used to take up that issue. So this is my takeaway. Thank you.
Kalpana ma'am.
Okay, again, I'll just make a few brief points. First is that the public service is not only government. You and I, as ordinary citizens, as students, as faculty, teachers, homemakers, we are all in the business of nation building. So don't relegate public service to a few IAS officers or a few politicians. You be a volunteer or a part-time worker, use the internet, contribute your weekends, but be part of nation building. So public service means you and me, does not mean just government or some political entity. The second thing which I would like to say is that adopt one public good and make it your own. When I say this, see why I say this. public policy problems are very, very complex. So when you start trying to solve one, it will go off into another and it will just meander and you'll find yourself in a maze. So it becomes too much and you will end up doing nothing. So take any one thing, anywhere, any public good where you have an expertise or you have an interest. I told you that my classmate in school, she's a good singer. So she goes to hospitals and sings for the patients there. Now for me, it is the sharing of knowledge. I have been blessed by the goddess Saraswati. I feel that for me, it is my duty, because that blessing which she has given to me on a shoestring budget. I have completed my education, including a PhD. I don't think my parents spent more than 25 rupees a year. It was Saraswati's blessings that I could, reach this. Therefore, I share knowledge. That is my public good, where I have an expertise. But it can be anything. It could be gardening. It could be singing. Wherever you have an expertise, take that public good and then share it or use it for the good of the people. And third thing is that be a pragmatist, not an idealist. See, if you're going by ideas with high expectations, society and the people around you will disappoint you. So learn to expect the unexpected. So you will find that the very same, you'll go to a rural family, they will embrace you with open arms. But the same family may commit an honor killing tomorrow. So you don't know. People are very complex, multifaceted. So don't have high expectations. Be a pragmatist, do good where you can. So this is, these are my 3 takeaways. Public service is everybody's job. Adopt a public good and make it your own. And be a pragmatist, not an idealist. These are the things which I would like to share.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I think it is really a good beginning, sir. We are very fortunate to have the panelists as a first series, and this is the bi-monthly regular talk series that we are going to think. And Ganpat University is also venturing into the public policy domain as by setting up one of the finest institutions. And all these things we are able to do because we have one of the finest leaders. If you see, our top leaders are as like, the youngsters. So I take opportunity to thanks all our eminent leaders. The first, let me extend our sincere gratitude to Ganpat Patel Sahib, we call as a Dada. So Dada invested his wealth, his visions, and give us his leadership, inspiring each and every day to do a lot more things for the society. We are equally blessed by one of the finest leaders, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, who is acclaimed academicians, thought leaders, and researcher. We are equally delighted to have Dr. Amit Patel as executive registrar and able administrator as our pro-vice chancellor also. So, sir, we are also thankful to you. We are also thankful by our academic leadership like Dean Dr. Abhishek Parikh, Dean Dr. Sorbit Chaturvedi Madam, Dean Dr. Hiren Patel, and all our faculty colleagues like Nirali, Professor Vikrant Dasani, and so many other individuals who are taking or contributing in this initiative. So with this note, I take opportunity to end the session over here. And I'm quite sure that this the way of disseminating the knowledge by virtually, it's really giving inclusivity as far as the knowledge dissemination is concerned. Because before COVID, we don't have such avenues to interact similar way. If we wanted to listen, Kalpana Madam, we have to make a huge expenditures. And sometimes it is not possible because of time, but now it is happening. So some things that we are getting positively, you people rightly mentioned that positivity we have to continue. Now I would like to open up the sessions if Dr. Abhishek Parikh wanted to say something, or if any panel list wanted to say something to the forum. Thank you all, and thank you everyone. Please.
Prabhu has asked for contact details. I have given my contact details in the chat box.
So with your permission, madam, we would like to end the session over here. Thank you one and all. Thank you, Abhishek sir.
Thank you all.
Hiralal sir.
Thank you. संजय जी, अब आपके कैंपस में आना पड़ेगा, आपने आज ज्यादा बताया है.
He already said it's huge expenditure, so we'll agree to come at less expenditure.
Madam, he should organize a physical meeting like this one.
Yeah, yes.
and we will participate in that physically.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you
Good
so
day.
much. Good day to all of you.